Welcome back, viewers, to another episode of Questions with Matt and Mark. This week, Mark, I'll start.
Okay.
So for the viewers, with the Delta variant of COVID in the news a lot, there's some people concerned that we could have a repeat or another surge in cases and how that would affect the markets per se. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that you just have to keep it really simple and just realize that there is risk out there when investing in the markets. The thing I'll also throw out there that we mention on the podcast a lot is that risk and what brings down markets typically is never being talked about.
Yeah.
Right? So the things that are out there in the headlines, on the news cycles,
Doesn't take the market by surprise.
in the media, that stuff is all known. It's usually the unknown things that take the market by surprise. So if you think back to March of 2020, no one really was talking about COVID until COVID happened.
Yes,
right?
yes.
So that wasn't a risk that months in advance that was previewed. So the thing that surprises markets is never going to be talked about in the media. So I think the best thing you can do is just invest for your own personal risk tolerance and understand that there is risk when it comes to investing.
Love that.
So
What do you got for me this week?
with it being into the summer months, how do you go about valuing and analyzing seasonal businesses?
Yeah, so when you ask that question, my immediate thought is I think of seasonal businesses that sell things like pool cleaning supplies, right? And a big part of the nation, they can only use that part of the year. I think of things like amusement parks. I think of tax preparers that are publicly traded. That's what I think of as seasonal. And I think you have to view those companies on a year-by-year basis rather than a lot of companies are viewed on their financials quarter to quarter. So I think with seasonal companies, Mark, you got to be bigger picture with analyzing the financial health of that company more on an annual basis than you would with a normal stock that you would do quarterly.
I agree, and I think it's important to note too that, for example, a publicly traded accounting company, obviously their billings and their revenues are going to be higher in the first part of the year, right? And that's baked in the market, in my opinion.
Yes.
So there are people out there that figured that out a long time ago. So that is no longer what I would call an edge in the market, and I just want people to understand that.
Great point. So don't sit there and try to think you can game the market by knowing, hey, I'm going to buy this seasonal business a couple months in advance to when it starts to get hot, because the market's anticipating that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Love it. All right, viewers, join us next week for another episode of Questions with Matt and Mark, and we will see you then.